This is Nick Fuentes. He's an extremely influential founder of a group of people called the America First Political Action Committee, I think it's called, AFPAC. He has held conferences where Marjorie Taylor Greene has spoken and things like that. Extremely influential person. So from time to time, I like to look in on what he's up to and give his videos a listen, see what he has to say. Well, he has decided to completely give up on democracy. I don't know if this is new or if this has just been knocking around his old noggin for a while, but he came out and said it. Check this one out, November 10th, 2022.
You got to recognize the fact that this is a godless country. I hate it.
It's really not. By any stretch of the imagination, it is not a godless country at all. Not by any standard definition, but you know what definition he's using? If there's somebody who does not worship the same way that he does in this country, it's a godless country. That's pretty much the definition that he's using here.
Moral, it's wrong, it's heinous, it's evil, but this is an evil country. And this country will surprise you with how evil it is. And that's why you got to get this out of your head that there is some...
Wow, this dude really hates America. Is it just me? I would have thought a true patriot loved America no matter what. Does not seem that way to me.
You got to get this out of your head that there is some silent majority cavalry that's going to come out of the woods and save us at the last minute. It's not. When we meet the left on the battlefield and they outnumber us like 5-1, that's it.
Okay, this is interesting. The left does not outnumber Republicans 5-1. And this reference of the silent majority, quote unquote, he's referring to here, the idea of the silent majority was, I think, popularized by Jerry Falwell Sr. back in like the 80s and the 90s. I could be wrong on that. Somebody can fact check me in the comments. But the idea is that the quote unquote silent majority is the group of people who believe in Christian values and are pro-life and blah, blah, blah. It's the majority of people who aren't screaming their heads off about this thing or that thing, agree with the far right, the extremists, which is what Jerry Falwell was. That's the concept of the silent majority. But as we've seen very recently even, the silent majority, which really refers to like independents basically, really doesn't like Donald Trump at all. They can't stand Donald Trump. And this right here, what we're listening to right now, is a reaction to the fact that the election, the 2022 midterm elections, didn't go well because Donald Trump was all up in there. And the silent majority, as he's calling them, don't want anything to do with Donald Trump and don't want Trump anywhere near government or any of his endorsees. Nick Fuentes is a deep, deep red Trump supporter, as big a Trump supporter as one can get. And he seems to be catching on to the fact that the silent majority very obviously disagrees with the far right, with Trump extremists. They're not on their side. Sadly, I think you could convince the silent majority or independents to vote for DeSantis in droves, but not Trump. Lucky for us. Keep listening to what Fuentes had to say here.
But the point is, when you look at these things like abortion, it's popular. People like abortion. Hate it, but it's true.
People don't like abortion. People like freedom. They like the freedom to make those decisions and recognize that you are propagandizing to everybody around you that society needs this ability to get an abortion in some cases. For medical necessity, for cases of and incest. I mean, there are a billion reasons, actually, valid reasons to get an abortion that this guy simply doesn't want to face. Hell, in my opinion, any reason to get an abortion is a valid reason. Up to, say, 14, 15 weeks. Past that, it should be taken a lot more seriously. But you don't even need a reason to get one, in my opinion, up to, say, 14 weeks. Yeah, it's no different than just scratching your nose, as far as I'm concerned, up to a certain point. But that's neither here nor there. Keep listening to what he says here.
Hate it, but it's true. And you can thank the Jewish media for that.
Whoa, why are we bringing Jews into this all of a sudden? Because this guy's deeply, deeply anti-Semitic. I'm pretty sure he will even admit to that. He thinks like 9/11 was a hoax and that the Jews control the media and the banks and the everything, dude. It's just unhinged stuff. And it's honestly bizarre and disturbing that Marjorie Taylor Greene won her re-election after appearing at this guy's conference and speaking on stage, shaking his hand. Just blows me away.
Abortion's popular. Sodomy's popular. Being gay is popular. Being a feminist is popular. Sex out of wedlock is popular. Contraceptives it's all popular.
Okay. Sex out of wedlock and contraceptives are popular. That other stuff, not really?
That's all. That's not to say it's good. That's not to say I like that. Popular means the people support it, which they do. And it sucks, and it is what it is, but that's why we need dictatorship. That's unironically why we need to get rid of all that. We need to take control of the media or take control of the government and force the people to believe what we believe, or force them to play by our rules and reshape the society.
Doesn't get much more on the nose than that. Doesn't get more brazen than that. That's what this guy wants. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, among others, many other congressmen, follow his stuff. Listen to what he has to say. Show up at his conferences and give talks there. If that's not an endorsement of his ideas, I don't know what is. This kind of thing is deeply disturbing to me. Lucky for us, he's on the far right, so he doesn't actually represent mainstream opinion. But the fact that this opinion exists in any real number is disturbing. Seriously. This is not the first time he's tooted this horn. He's been going around tooting this horn for a while now. Late June 2022. Check this one out.
That is precisely what we intend to do, is to impose Christian laws on everyone in the United States of America. That is what we have to do as Christians. We have to make sure that, like the moon reflects the sun, the state reflects the church. We have to make sure that our normative laws and the laws that are passed by the government reflect the natural and the moral laws written by God.
This is so fascinating to me that it seems like this guy has completely given up on Enlightenment values or the values the Founding Fathers had in the first place. Doesn't care, doesn't want anything to do with them. They're a waste of time, apparently, in this guy's mind. It just blows me away. Like, where is the dude's head? How did he get to where he is now? I don't understand. He doesn't want separation of church and state. This is something the Founding Fathers really believed in. Thomas Jefferson particularly wrote a whole bunch of letters to, like, Danbury Baptist Church, back and forth with them about this very subject, about how deeply wrong it is that a state church exists. There should be no such thing as a state church, according to the Founding Fathers, Thomas Jefferson, among others. And he just wants to throw that right out the door. Just blows me away.
That is our job as Christians. Now, how do you coexist in the government with atheists or Jews that say that pornography is okay?
You don't have to say pornography is okay. You just have to say it's your choice to consume it or not. That's all you have to say. This is about freedom. See, this guy doesn't care about freedom. Never did. Never will. This is about control.
And actually, it's our right to do that. It's our right to watch it. It's our right to make it. And the freedom to do that is the end of society. You can't share those two values. And the same goes for feminism and the role of women, and the same goes for homosexuality and same-sex relationships, as well as transgenderism. Can a person go from one gender to another? And drugs. And it really is about...
You notice how he included all kinds of stuff at the beginning of that should absolutely be unregulated. You should be free to do what you want because it's not harming anybody else, not even harming you. You should be allowed to be a feminist if you want. You should be allowed to be trans. You should be allowed to whatever, absolutely anything. Your right to swing your fist ends at the tip of my nose. That is the concept behind the social contract that is formed in America. That is the fundamental belief that the Founding Fathers had when they wrote the Constitution, when they created rights for people here. Your right to swing your fist ends at the tip of my nose. You can swing it anywhere you want. You're perfectly free to, except here. You can't swing your fist right there because it infringes on my rights. So the point here is your rights extend up to the point where it infringes on my rights. When it infringes on mine, you're not allowed to do it anymore. The government has the right to come in and protect my rights by pushing yours back in an attempt to protect mine. That's what it's all about. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. Most people in the far right now will take a very specific tactic in this regard. They'll claim when the government tries to prevent them from infringing on my rights, people like Lance Wallnau, Kenneth Copeland, Hank Kunneman, all these other televangelists, they'll claim that their rights are being infringed upon. They'll complain that the government asks them to wear masks or meet outside or social distance or meet on Zoom during a worldwide pandemic, and they will scream that their rights are being infringed upon, when in reality they're infringing on everybody else's right to life and safety and liberty and pursuit of happiness. That's what it's all about. By refusing to be careful, by refusing to meet outside rather than inside to protect people from a worldwide pandemic, they're infringing on my rights. But they are framing it up like the government is infringing on their rights when they violate mine. That is how these people operate. That is how they argue this stuff. But here's where it gets interesting. Not Nick Fuentes, baby. Not him. You know what he does? He just comes out and says it. No, I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care if this is your rights. No, I don't think that you're infringing on my rights or I'm infringing on yours. I just want a dictatorship. I just want Christians to control the country. He just comes right out and says it. There is no complex, nuanced discussion to try to convert people to his side. He's just appealing to the base carnal instinct of forcing people to obey your laws and do what you want them to do. Deeply disturbing stuff that this guy actually has people who listen to him.
And it really is about everything in the society. These things are in conflict. And this is going to be one of the biggest problems, I think, is that the Jewish people wield this immense influence even over the Republican Party.
They really don't. They really don't. They're just another demographic of people in the United States. And the fact that he seems to believe to the bottom of his heart that there's some cabal out there pulling strings like puppet masters is absolutely something else, man. I've listened to a ton of debates between this guy and many others. And this is not an act. This guy believes what he's saying right now. He's a super nice dude, but he is as deranged as they come. Lauren Witzke is another member of AFPAC. This is her on the right here. She is a white nationalist, a far-right extremist, and a Trump supporter, naturally. As a member of AFPAC, it's kind of a prerequisite. Anyway, let me introduce you to some of the things that she's had to say, just give you an idea of who she is, because she had some interesting stuff to say more recently as a member of AFPAC. So check this one out. Mid-October 2021. It's a little bit of an older one, but it'll give you some context for the types of things Lauren Witzke and by proxy, the America First Political Action Committee believes. Check this out.
White Christian males or white straight males are the most persecuted class demographic in the United States of America right now, especially in the workforce.
I don't know what kind of fantasy land she lives in that she believes that white Christian males are the most persecuted demographic of people in the workforce or in the world, whatever. I just don't even know where to go with it. That's unhinged.
The anti-white system that advocates for us, like people like us, to not have a voice, to not have any rights, like kind of considering us like second-class citizens that don't deserve rights is what they kind of try to treat us as. They think that the system, the anti-white system, is going to spare them too, and it is not. This anti-white system, it's coming for all of us.
You know, this is spoken like somebody who's never faced a problem in her life, honestly, who has no idea what it's like to be persecuted. I am a member of a number of minority groups that are traditionally persecuted in the U.S. For example, atheists. I'm definitely an atheist, and I've definitely been mistreated for that. But surprisingly, that's not the thing that caused me pain for being persecuted over. I've actually been persecuted as a minority group and felt the pain that came with it. The minority group that I felt pain from being persecuted over was actually being an ex-Jehovah's Witness, being shunned by my friends and family members, being hated by them, won't even look at me, won't give me the time of day, treat me like scum, complete scum. That hurts. And that, I imagine, is what it's like to be terribly mistreated in the United States as a minority. You may deal with some problems. You may have some issues in the workforce. You may feel like, you should have gotten a better deal in the child support or child custody hearings or whatever. And absolutely, I agree. We need to work on some things. Women should not be viewed as a primary caretaker for children. There are white male problems out there. Absolutely. You have no idea what it's actually like to be persecuted. No idea. But this is the platform that she has built upon. This is the cause that she has taken on as her own. That's who Lauren Witzke is. If that one doesn't do it for you, check this out. February 23rd, 2022, the day after Putin invaded Russia. The day after. Check this one out.
Here's the deal also, Russia is a Christian nationalist nation. They're actually Orthodox Christian. I'm Russian Orthodox. So, I actually support Putin's right to protect his people and all.
Yeah. Russia's not really a Christian nationalist country, kind of, I guess. It's more just a dictatorship, and Putin uses the church to bolster his own power. It's not really controlled by the church at all. It's controlled by Putin, primarily. And the church just adds to Putin's power. So
Putin's right to protect his people and always put his people first, but also protect their Christian values. I identify more with with Putin's Christian values than I do with Joe Biden.
Dude, this is like borderline treasonous talk immediately after Russia invaded Ukraine, and the U.S. was condemning Russia as doing something gravely evil and sending aid to Ukraine as quickly as they could and all of that other stuff. All of Europe was on Ukraine's side, and Lauren Witzke comes out here and openly says she supports Russia. That is honestly mind-blowing to me. Seriously, it's not sedition. It's not technically treason. We're not at war with Russia and free speech anyways. But that's as close as you get as far as speech goes. Oh my God, dude.
Putin's Christian values than I do with Joe Biden. So, there is that, there is that there. Christian nationalist countries also are a threat to the global regime, like
the cabal. Ready? She's going to talk about the cabal again.
Regime, like the Luciferian regime. It wants to mash everything together, but Putin takes care of his people. He looks out for his people. I watched as he deported, they literally walked them through the streets, the criminal illegals who were coming into their country. Yeah. They walked them out and they escorted them out and they said, get out. I can respect that. I can respect that. And I can respect the fact that Putin does everything he can to protect his people.
This is so deeply wrong, dude. This is just, okay, so now you have an idea of who Lauren Witzke is. Oh my God, she is something else. So she goes on this guy's TV show, Elijah Schaffer, right? Now, he's gotten pretty famous recently for some controversial stuff. And I have a video coming out about that soon, so keep a lookout for that. But I wanted to listen to what Lauren Witzke had to say as a member of AFPAC, a member of Nick Fuentes' political action committee or whatever. I wanted to hear what she had to say to Elijah Schaffer. November 16th, 2022. Check this out.
And in regards to women voting, that was the worst thing that ever happened to America, too. Look at us now. Women overwhelmingly vote on their emotions. And their emotions, and the liberals are very good at appealing to emotions. Oh,
wow, dude. Okay. Just claiming that women vote on emotions like that is such a stereotype. It's ridiculous, first of all. Like, women can't be logical. They're all built on emotion, forgetting the fact that men are probably more emotional than women, if you really think about it. If you look at it in the cold light of day and recognize the fact that anger is most definitely an emotion, I would say men can be more emotional than women, like a lot more, but that's neither here nor there. Keep listening to what she had to say about women voting.
And their emotions, and the liberals are very good at appealing to emotions. Oh, look at these migrant children. They have nowhere to go. Look at this pregnant migrant woman. She has nowhere to go. We have got to open up our borders and give her cash assistance for the rest of her life here in America.
See, that's really fascinating what she did there, if you notice. This is what makes it propaganda. Think about what she just said. She accused liberals, quote unquote, of voting on their emotions, and then she used an emotional argument to convince you of that.
Nowhere to go. We have got to open up our borders and give her cash assistance for.
We've got to open up our borders, give her cash assistance, spend all of your money. Fear. That's fear. She's drumming up fear in her listeners, trying to freak them out and make them think that there's this huge problem that needs to be solved immediately, right now. And if you don't, the whole system's going to come crashing down. And nothing that she's saying right now is true anyways. Like, there is no open border. Immigrants are not allowed to be on like a social security system or like, cash assistance or food stamps or any of that other stuff. I mean, they have to go through a whole process of, I don't even know what the process is. Are they ever allowed to get any of that stuff if they immigrate here and get documents and all that stuff? I'm not sure. They certainly can't get any of that stuff without a social security number, but it's all about fear, freaking people out. While she's accusing liberals, and women particularly, of acting on their emotions, she's using emotion in the argument to manipulate people.
We have got to open up our borders and give her cash assistance for the rest of her life here in America. And women vote for that. They vote to have weapons taken away, our Second Amendment rights taken away.
More fear, freaking you out, trying to make you think they're coming for you. They're trying to get you. They're trying to get your stuff and take it from you and keep it forever. She's trying to activate the fear responses in her listeners' brains.
Women used to vote, they used to not vote because their husband would make the choice for them. Now, if just our husbands and landowners were voting, we'd be in a much better place than we are now. We'd have closed borders. We'd have no infringements on our Second Amendment rights. Red flag laws would be a thing of the past. And we as women wouldn't be, have such authority and power over who gets into elected office because we don't deserve it. The way that women vote, it's been terrible.
Wow, this is really fascinating. This is like a lesson in how to do propaganda effectively when you really think about it. She's listing things that you should be afraid of, and then she is linking it back to a root cause and trying to encourage her listeners to resolve that root cause in some specific way. Really fascinating to listen to her build this argument that way.
It's been terrible. I'm apologizing as a female voter for the rest of my fellow female voters because they are voting our country away, and it is extremely dangerous.
More fear tactics. It's all about scaring people. That's absolutely fascinating to me. This is not her first dance with destroying democracy, though. Early June 2022, she went on her show. By the way, she is an ex-congressional candidate. She ran for Congress in 2020, and she came close. She knows Nick Fuentes and works with him in AFPAC, America First Political Action Committee. There are AFPAC members in Congress right now. She's not a nobody. Listen to what she had to say here, early June 2022.
They should probably agree. Look, I'm not against theocracy or authoritarianism if it's coming from God. Like, God, for the most part, it's not a democracy in heaven. All right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I mean, we saw what happened with democracy.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
they
yeah,
had
yeah.
the choice between Barabbas and Jesus.
Yeah, they're like,
So,
yeah. Give us
like,
Barabbas. Okay, the murderer.
Theocratic kingdom of heaven, baby, here on
Amen.
earth. Let's do it.
They keep acting as if like this is some kind of
It
shame.
can get any worse.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
for
Seriously,
sure.
you want to listen to that crazy lady? AOC, not AOK.
Yeah, AOC is in charge.
just blows me away, dude. They've completely given up on democracy at this point. They're done with it. They want nothing to do with it. Kind of interesting that the argument that they just presented completely conflicts with other Trump extremists or other Trump cult leaders' arguments in favor of Trump. Like Johnny Enlow, for example, just talked about him the other day. He has this whole idea that like there's the Supreme Court in heaven, and there seems to be like a Congress in heaven too. Like, where did he get the idea that heaven was not a dictatorship? That's how it's described in the Bible, right? Seems to me. I mean, I'm not in favor of that. I think it's deeply wrong, but I certainly think that that's what the Bible wants you to believe. I mean, how does Johnny Enlow square his beliefs with people like this? I don't know, dude. It just blows me away how all of these people seem to have like conflicting religious ideologies, but they all seem to work together cohesively anyways. It's just fascinating to watch. Let me know what you think in the comments or on Twitter @TelltaleAtheist.